She called my year of work garbage, smiled, and pressed delete while my teammates watched. The screen went blank. My heart sank. Then my phone rang. A competitor. A $100,000 offer. I looked up at her, still grinning. "Yes," I said into the phone. And her smile died. "Hi, I'm Emily Parker, 31, from Columbus, Ohio, USA. If you've ever had a boss try to crush you, hit tell me your worst work story in the comments. And subscribe for more true justice. Your story matters, and this one ends with dignity." The conference room smelled like burnt coffee and dry marker ink. The hum of the old HVAC made the blinds tremble. We stood around the big screen while my supervisor, Marla, clicked through slides like they were flies to be swatted. Her nails were sharp red. Her smile was thin and fixed. My project, the one I had built for a year, filled the screen. A predictive dashboard for our logistics division. It had clean charts, steady colors, and numbers that told a story you could follow with your eyes. I had written the models. I had spoken with the warehouse teams. I had woken up at 3 a.m. to watch trucks roll in, counting pallets under cold lights and breath fog. I knew the pulse of our supply line like a heartbeat. Marla didn't look at me when she said it. "This is garbage." The room went quiet like a slap had hit the air. I felt the heat in my face. She tapped the laptop. "We asked for results." "Not cute graphics." I opened my mouth. Air came in. No words came out. She clicked open the source repository on the large screen. My repo. A year of commits, notes, version histories, experiments. She scrolled fast like she was already bored. "You know what we do with garbage?" she said, and that smile came back. "We take it out." She hovered over the screen. My chest tightened. "Marla," I said, voice small. "Don't." She clicked, confirmed, deleted. The folder icon emptied like a mocking grin. A sound escaped me. It wasn't a word. It was a thin, broken thing. I stepped forward. She lifted her chin. "If it mattered, you would have made it matter sooner. Start over, Emily. Do it right this time." In the glass wall's reflection, I saw my team. Rhea biting her lip. Carlos shifting his weight. Samir frowning at his shoes. I saw pity. I saw fear. I saw the message. This is what happens to you if you don't obey. My palms tingled. The room tilted, slow and mean. "Marla," I said, trying to hold my voice steady. The model was tested. "We cut the forecast error by 17% across Q2. We saved..." She laughed. It was not a kind sound. "Saved? With that toy?" I asked for control over outliers and caveats. "You gave me story time." Her tone said I was a child. Her eyes said I was an inconvenience she planned to remove. I swallowed. "The code is in backup," I whispered, too soft. She turned the screen to show the permissions. "Access revoked. Compliance reason." Her eyes held mine. "Start over." The room buzzed in my ears. I heard the blood in my head. I felt my hands shake. My throat went tight. Everything I had done, the warehouse nights, the model tuning, the angry emails from ops I had soothed, the test deployments, it all felt like dust. Then a vibration in my pocket. My phone. I almost ignored it. But my body needed any sound that wasn't her voice. I glanced. A number I knew from a coffee last month. Northedge Analytics, the competitor who had quietly poached 3 of our best data engineers the year before. I had taken the coffee out of curiosity. Nothing more. I had told them I wasn't looking. I was loyal. Marla folded her arms. "We done here?" she asked the room. "Emily has a fresh start to enjoy." "Take it," a voice inside me said. It wasn't about the phone. It was the word take. It burned like a match. I lifted the phone to my ear. "Hello?" A calm voice. Rachel from Northedge. "Emily, timing's strange, I know. But the offer cleared. 100,000 to start. Sign-on bonus. We want you leading our logistics AI." For a second, I forgot the room. I forgot the screen. I forgot Marla's nails. The number floated there like a lifeboat. I looked up. The whole team watched me. Marla's eyebrow bent. For the first time that morning, she looked curious. Rachel said, "We can courier paperwork today. We'd love an answer." I stared at Marla, at the afterglow of what she'd done, at the empty folder on the screen that still somehow felt loud. My voice surprised me. It rose clean and clear. "Yes," I said. "I accept." Silence. Ria's eyes widened. Carlos's mouth opened. Marla's smile cracked, just a hairline fracture, but I saw it. She stared, and I watched the blood drain from her face like a tide going out. I ended the call. The room waited. Marla blinked, slow. "Excuse me?" I slid my phone into my pocket. "You told me to start over," I said softly. "I am." Her jaw shifted. For an instant, something ugly moved behind her eyes. "Insubordination," she whispered, a warning hum. "You're on company time." I held her gaze. The old fear was still in me, but it had found a backbone. "For a year," I said, "I gave you company time. And you threw it in the trash." No one breathed. The HVAC hummed. A truck honked faintly outside. Ria looked like she wanted to squeeze my hand. Samir's eyes shone near a wince. Marla killed the screen with a click. The room went gray. "Meeting over," she said flatly. "Emily, stay!" Everyone left like leaves in a sudden wind. I stood still. My legs felt hollow, but there was steel in the hollow. Marla closed the door. "You think you can embarrass me?" she asked, voice low. "You think they will remember your tantrum? Or my title?" I felt my breath come slow now, like the storm had spent itself. "I think," I said, "people remember the hand that presses delete." Her lips curled. "Security will collect your badge by close of business." "Then you'd better move fast," I said, and it didn't even feel like me saying it. She flinched. Just a little. That night, sleep did not come. The dark buzzed. I replayed the delete click. I felt it again in my chest, a small collapse each time. I stared at the ceiling and saw numbers, forecasts, error bands, the curve that had told me we could cut waste by 11% if ops followed the model. I saw the faces of hourly workers I had met at 4 a.m., the ones who carried boxes until their hands cracked. They had smiled at me when the model got their overtime cut in half because things finally ran smooth. That was my work. Not garbage. Human things. At 2:17 a.m., I sat up. My heart knocked. I opened my laptop to my personal notes. Clean, compliant, made outside the company system. I read my own writing to remember who I was. Do not confuse a bully with a leader. A bully protects their power. A leader protects the work. I had written that on a night I felt small. Now it felt like a match held to dry tinder. The phone lit up. A message from Rachel. Paperwork sent. "Will support any notice period. Excited to have you." In the glow, my hands steadied. The fear didn't leave. But it found a partner called purpose. I closed my eyes. I still saw the screen going empty. I whispered, "Okay." And the word felt like a door opening in a room with no air. Mini cliffhanger. The next morning, when I walked in to clear my desk, I learned Marla hadn't just deleted my project. She had a plan to make me the villain. The morning had that paper white light that makes office walls look colder. When the elevator doors opened to our floor, I knew something was wrong. Heads turned. Conversations broke off and stitched themselves back together like nothing had happened. My badge still worked. Barely. At my desk, a sealed envelope. My name in Marla's small, neat handwriting. I broke the seal. Inside, a printed performance improvement plan. 3 pages. Lines that twisted the truth into knots, missed deadlines. Inflated metrics, unstable models, communication issues. At the bottom, a line that made my stomach drop. Unauthorized external contact during confidential meeting. I swallowed hard. She was fast. I felt heat flush my neck. I wanted to scream. Instead, I sat. I looked around. Ria hovered near the coffee machine, eyes on me. Carlos pretended to debug something while not typing at all. I forced myself to breathe. In, out. Slow. Feel the chair under you. Feel the keys? You are not your panic. I opened my email. A meeting invite glowed at the top. HR, 10:30 a.m. The subject line, Clarification. My hands trembled, but I clicked open my personal notes again, the ones outside the company systems. I read my own data collection logs from the warehouse trips. I read the error reports I wrote when the model drifted and I fixed it. I read the audit trail from our test deployment. It grounded me. I had done real work. I had receipts. Still, the plan was clear. Marla would try to salt the earth behind me. Make me the problem child. Make my work look like noise. Discredit. Discard. Replace. At 9:15, Rhea drifted to my desk and set down a paper cup like a peace offering. "Extra cream," she murmured. She didn't look at me. Her voice was a thin thread. "She sent an email last night. Said you mishandled data. Said you went around her." I'm sorry." Something in me ached, deep and sore. "Thank you," I said. I kept my voice flat, careful. "Did she copy the team?" "Whole division," Rhea whispered, and the thread in her voice frayed. "But people know." It felt off. The ache turned heavier, but beneath it a stubborn seed pushed against the dirt. People know. At 10:30, I sat across from HR in a room that pretended to be neutral. Soft chairs, a framed photo of a tree, tissues on the table. Glenn, the HR manager, performed concern. "We just want to understand," he said, hands in a loose tent. "There are serious allegations, Emily. Deletion of work aside, which is unfortunate. We need to address integrity issues. Unfortunate." The word landed like a bruise. I kept my face still. "What are the allegations?" He slid the PIP across. "Metrics misrepresented. External communication during a confidential meeting. Failure to follow instructions. Breakdown of team trust." I let myself be quiet for 3 seconds. Not defensive. Not angry. Just grounded. "First," I said, "I did not misrepresent anything. I have logs, code, and documented results. The dashboard was deployed in test. The model reduced forecast error by 17% in Q2 and 11% in Q3. Ops sign-off attached." I tapped my folder. All in writing. Glenn's eyes flicked to the door, then back. "Second?" he asked. "Second," I said. "The external call came in at random. I accepted a job offer on my personal phone because my supervisor publicly deleted my project and told me to start over. In front of the team. I raised my eyebrows. "You might want to ask the people who were there." His mouth pressed thin. He looked tired. Or maybe for a second human. "We did hear about the deletion," he said, careful. "We are reviewing. The grayest word." I pushed my advantage. "Third," I said, "my work followed compliance. I documented everything. If there was a request I didn't follow, please show me the email." "I will explain why," he shuffled papers. "The instruction was verbal." "Convenient," I said, "and it came out sharper than planned." He looked at me. The air changed. I felt it. The part where I could be punished for the tone. I softened. "I care about the work," I said and meant it. "I know the names of the night shift at West Dock because I spent nights with them. They trust the dashboard because it made their lives better. I didn't inflate anything. I made things clear." I straightened the tissue box with a small, nervous hand. If clarity is a problem, that's not on me. We sat in the quiet for a beat. Glenn sighed, something small letting go. "Okay," he said. "We'll talk to ops and the team." When I left, the hallway felt brighter. Not safe, not yet, but less like a trap. Back at my desk, Slack messages stacked like bricks. From Samir, "I'm with you. If they ask, I'll tell them what I saw." From Carlos, she crossed a line. "Don't let her make you doubt it." From Rhea, "Ops manager wants to talk to you. West Dock says your dashboard saved them 2 nights ago. They're angry, a spark. Small, hot. Not vengeance, not yet. Just proof. The work mattered to people who didn't sit in conference rooms." At lunch, I sat outside on a cold concrete step, coat tight. The air smelled like snow, though the forecast said no. I chewed on a dry sandwich and thought about all the nights fear put metal in my mouth. I thought about the way Marla enjoyed power like a sugar cube dissolving on her tongue. And I asked myself the question I had avoided. Do I want revenge? The honest answer rose quiet and real. I want truth. And if truth hurts her, that's not my fault. By afternoon, the whispers had moved to the open. Ops had emailed my dashboard screenshots to leadership. Where is this? Why was it removed? Our overtime's climbing again. The email chain threaded through names that usually didn't know I existed. I read it and my hands shook, but this time with a kind of hope that felt dangerous. Near 5, Marla appeared at my desk. She wore that smile again, the one that did not reach her eyes. How was HR? She asked, voice sugar. Clarifying, I hope. I met her gaze. They're talking to Ops. Her smile didn't move. Ops talks to everyone. They like to feel important, she leaned in. This won't end the way you think. I didn't flinch. For once I just observed. The tightness at the corner of her mouth, the edge in her breath. Fear had crossed the hall and sat on her shoulder. She straightened. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., present your plan to rebuild from scratch. Do not mention your former project. Former, I repeated. The word tasted wrong. No, it was small. One syllable, but it sounded like a door locking on her side, not mine. Her eyes hardened. That's final, she snapped. The sugar burned. You will comply or you will walk out with a box. I tilted my head. You already wrote the PIP, she blinked. And you emailed the division, I said softly. You wanted me small. But you forgot the people who do the work. They saw what you did. For a heartbeat, the mask cracked. I saw the person behind it. Not a villain. Just someone who loved control more than the truth. It made me briefly almost sad. She turned. Tomorrow, she said over her shoulder. Or don't bother coming in. She walked away fast, heels hard on the floor. That night, sleep stayed away again. But it wasn't panic this time. It was planning. Thoughts lined up. Choices unfurled. The offer from North Edge sat in my inbox like a clean blank page. I could sign and vanish, but that would leave a wreck behind me. The night shift. The ops teams. Ria's uncertain eyes. They would pay for the gap while leadership reviewed. And Marla would spin a new story until everyone forgot the old one. I opened a new document. I titled it, What Happened with Evidence. I wrote simple, clear, basic words, dates, times, screenshots, my own logs, not company code. Emails where Ops thanked us for the dashboard. Photos of the whiteboard where we planned the rollout with Marla present, smiling, signing her initials. I wrote the part where she deleted the repository publicly, time-stamped, with 5 witnesses. I wrote what it did to the line. Overtime up, errors up, freight misrouted. I wrote what the model did. Cut variability, reduce strain, stabilize schedules. I did not use adjectives much. I used facts. Then I added something else. Statements from the people at West Dock. I had their words in my notes from interviews months ago. When the board drops clean, my back thanks you. Feels like the trucks arrive already knowing where to go. I got home before my kid fell asleep for the first time in weeks. I left names out. I protected them, but I kept their humanity in. At 2:03 a.m., I looked at the document. It wasn't revenge. It was truth, arranged not for spectacle but for light. And in my chest something settled. Then I added one more thing. A short letter to the executive who oversaw both our division and vendor contracts. In simple English. The dashboard you paid for through external vendors last year did less than our in-house model. I can show you the difference. I included one clean picture. Vendor result versus ours, side by side. The metrics tall and plain. No spin, just sight. I sent the packet to HR, Glenn, and that executive. Subject line, for review, impact of deleted work. My hand hovered over the trackpad. This is it, I whispered. No more hiding. I clicked send. The night went quiet, like the world had drawn a breath. In that quiet, I imagined Marla seeing it. Imagined the skin around her eyes pull tight. Not because I wanted to hurt her, but because she had built a tower out of untruth. And I had just taken a brick from the bottom, mini cliffhanger, at 7:41 a.m. The executive wrote back, "Meet me in the big conference room at 9. Bring your evidence. Ops is joining. Also, bring your supervisor." At 8:50 a.m., I stood alone outside the big conference room with a folder under my arm and a knot in my stomach. The glass walls showed long shadows of chairs and a pitcher of water sweating on the table. My palms were damp. My breath came slow and measured. In my head, I kept counting 1, 2, 3, and back to 1. It steadied me. Down the hall, I saw Ops walking in, a half-dozen people in steel-toe boots and company polos. Nate, the West Dock lead with his cap in hand. Alyssa, the night shift scheduler, hair in a tight bun, eyes sharp. Behind them, HR's Glenn with his neutral face. 2 IT managers I barely knew. And the executive, Ms. Porter, a tall woman with calm eyes that didn't miss much. Last came Marla. Her heels clicked like the countdown of a timer. She wore that stiff smile, but the skin around it looked tired and tight. When her eyes met mine, she held them for a beat, like she wanted to make me look away first. I didn't. Ms. Porter opened the door. "Thank you for coming," she said, voice even. "We'll keep this simple. We need clarity." We sat. The room felt too wide, like sound could fall through it. I placed my folder in front of me and kept my hands still. "Don't fidget," I told myself. "Don't rush. Truth doesn't need speed. It needs light." Porter nodded at me. "Emily, you sent a packet last night. Walk us through it." I swallowed once. "Yes," my voice was steady enough. "This is what happened in plain terms." I slid copies around the table, labels, dates, screenshots. Over the last year, I led development of the logistics forecast dashboard. We tested in Q2 and Q3. We cut forecast error by 17%, then 11%. Overtime dropped. Misroutes dropped. Ops feedback was positive. I didn't look at Marla when I said feedback. I clicked the remote. The wall screen lit up with side-by-side charts. Simple, clean, no dramatic colors. Left is the external vendor result. Right is ours. On the same week, same data. The delta speaks for itself. Alyssa leaned forward. "That's what we saw at 2 a.m. last Thursday," she said quietly. "Then it was gone." "Gone," Nate echoed, voice low. Glenn glanced to Ms. Porter, then to me. "And the deletion?" I showed the audit log screenshots, timestamps, usernames, the chain of events from the company repository. "This is the public deletion during yesterday's meeting. 5 witnesses present. Access revocations followed within 10 minutes. One of the IT managers cleared his throat. "We pulled the system logs this morning," he said. "The deletion matches what's shown here." He didn't look at anyone when he said it. He didn't need to. Porter turned to Ops. "Impact?" Alyssa's jaw worked. "We staffed 2 extra people last night because the board wasn't there," she said. "We missed 3 windows. We called drivers back." She looked at me. "Her board saved our backs." That's not fluff. The room held a breath. I felt heat behind my eyes, sharp and inconvenient. I blinked hard and kept going. "My goal wasn't to win on paper," I said. "It was to make the line breathe easier." Porter folded her hands. "Thank you, Ops. Thank you, IT." She turned to Marla. "I also need your perspective." Marla smiled in that thin way. "Of course," she said, voice smooth. "I've supported Emily's development all year. But we have standards. We cannot deploy unstable work." The dashboard was a prototype. I asked for controls and auditability. I received pretty charts and anecdotal stories. When I called for a rebuild, Emily refused and contacted an external party during a confidential meeting. It was an elegant narration. A mentor painted herself as careful, a troublesome subordinate as impulsive. If I hadn't lived it, I might have believed it in the first 10 seconds. I didn't interrupt. I let the story sit in the room. Then I turned one page in my packet. "These are the controls," I said. "Separate logs for anomalies. Role-based access, timestamps, change history, audit trail." IT approved the test. Ops signed off. The request for rebuild came with no written requirements. I met her eyes. "And the call came to my personal phone after you deleted the project in front of the team." Marla's gaze didn't waver. "She's rewriting," she said softly to Porter, like a whisper meant to sound reluctant. She's always been dramatic. The word landed like a sticky note on my forehead. Dramatic. It had been used on me since I was 12, when I told the teacher a boy had cut my braid and she said I was overreacting. It was a familiar dismissal. And it filled me with a cold, clean anger that didn't raise its voice. I clicked again. The screen showed a whiteboard photo from 3 months ago. Rollout plan, my handwriting and others. A tiny set of initials, MR, Marla's. "This is the meeting where we approved the test and the controls," I said. "You signed that plan, Marla." She opened her mouth, closed it. A crack, small but real. Porter's eyes moved from the photo to Marla, then back. Her voice stayed level. "We'll investigate fully," she said. "But in the meantime, I want our operation stabilized. Emily, can you restore the dashboard from your documentation?" This was the first close call. The trap would be easy. Say yes, rebuild it alone, become the hero, and let the system forget what happened. But I had promised myself the night before, this wasn't just about getting my work back. It was about naming the harm and guarding the vulnerable while truth took root. I breathed once. "I can work with IT and Ops to reconstitute the dashboards from the test artifacts," I said. "But there's a conflict. I accepted an offer last night from North Edge Analytics. I plan to leave. I can help transition properly with HR's support and clear boundaries." The room stilled again. Rhea, quiet in the back, lifted her head like she hadn't let herself hope I'd say it out loud. Porter didn't flinch. "Understood," she said. "We'll need a knowledge transfer plan and a short-term task force." She looked at IT. "Assign 2 engineers. To Ops, nominate 1 lead. To HR, prepare a transition doc. Back to me. Can you start that plan today?" "I can," I said. My heart sped, but it was a clean pace now. Steady. Marla's voice slid in, soft and aimed. "With respect," she said. "Allowing an employee who accepted a competitor's offer to lead a transition poses a risk." Porter nodded once. "True." She looked at me again. "Emily, we'll isolate scope. No proprietary expansion. Just restore what was in test, nothing more. Document as you go. Then you're done." "That's reasonable," I said. Marla's smile thinned further. "And the PIP?" she asked Glenn, sweet like poison. "Protocol?" Glenn folded his hands. "On hold," he said. "Pending investigation." The words landed with a quiet weight. Not a victory cheer. Just a shift. We broke. Ops filed out with a kind of relieved caution. IT murmured about logs and permissions. Rhea touched my shoulder on the way past. No words, just a squeeze that spoke volumes. Marla lingered, busy with her bag, too busy to look at me. Porter gathered her papers. "Ms. Porter," I said softly before she left. "One more thing." I placed the side-by-side vendor versus us chart on top. "You're paying for results that don't match in-house capability. Our people can do this. If my leaving helps you see the gap, then—" "I'm glad I sent the packet." Her eyes held mine for a long second. Something unreadable moved there, consideration, maybe regret, maybe respect. "Thank you for your clarity," she said. "We'll take it from here." When the door clicked shut behind them, Marla finally looked at me. The mask was still on, but I could see the strain in the edges. Her voice was a whisper made of glass. "You think you won today?" she said. "You didn't. I wasn't performing for an audience anymore. I didn't need to win lines." "I didn't come to win," I said, gathering my folder. "I came to tell the truth, and to leave well." I walked out to my desk, heart pounding, hands steady. The plan had begun: limited scope transition, airtight documentation, transparent handoff, clean exit. Revenge would not be me screaming, "Gotcha." It would be the system seeing itself in a mirror it could not throw away. I spent the afternoon setting up a read-only workspace with IT. No new code, just reconstruction from approved test artifacts. I built a checklist: restore demand forecast view, relink anomaly log, recreate Ops quick glance page. I invited Ops to comment live. I time-stamped each step. The process itself was the message. This was not magic. It was work, and work belongs to the people it serves. Close calls kept coming. Around 3 p.m., I found 2 test notes missing from the shared drive. IT traced the deletion, late-night activity from an admin account. We quietly restored from their backups. At 4:10 p.m., Marla sent a blanket email to the division. Please refrain from using unapproved tools. Unauthorized experiments create noise. Within minutes, Porter replied all, "We are restoring approved test dashboards to stabilize operations. Please support." The thread died there. A small but unmistakable shift of gravity. At 6:30, my phone buzzed. A message from Rachel at North Edge, all set on our side. "We'll support you if anything gets messy. Do what you need to do." The simple trust in that line made my shoulders drop. I hadn't noticed how high they were. I stayed late, not out of fear, but because closure demanded care. At 8:12 p.m., Ops ran the restored quick glance page against live arrivals. I stood behind Alyssa as she clicked. The board populated. Numbers settled. The room gave a tiny collective exhale. "That's it," she whispered. "That's our board." I let myself feel it just for a second. The good ache of building something people use. The human thing? Then I stepped back. "I'll write the handoff notes," I said. "You won't need me here after tomorrow." On the bus home, the city lights blurred in the window. My body felt like a house after a long storm. Floors wet, windows rattled, but the frame still standing. I thought about revenge again, not as a blow, but as a boundary. Not as destruction, but as redirection. The plan was simple now. Tell the truth in public rooms, do the work the right way, transfer knowledge, and leave with my head up. Still, a voice in me, small, tired, asked, "Will she get away with it?" I didn't answer. I didn't control that. I only controlled my steps. Mini cliffhanger. The next morning, Marla tried a final move. She brought a lawyer to my desk and accused me of data theft. She picked the wrong day to pretend the logs didn't exist. They arrived just before 9. Marla, tight-lipped, and a company attorney I'd never met, Mr. Laird, in a navy suit with a face like an off switch. He set a manila folder on my desk with the kind of precision meant to scare you. His tone was neutral. "We're here to discuss data security," he said. Around us, keyboards slowed. Conversations thinned. I stood, not because he asked, but because I refused to be the seated child in this picture. "I'm listening," I said. Laird folded his hands. "There is concern that sensitive materials were transmitted externally," he said. "Your email last night to leadership referenced comparisons with a vendor and included performance charts. We need to confirm the source of those charts was compliant." The fear tried to rise again, old and practiced. I did not let it drive. I kept my voice even. The charts compare results from 2 programs on the same metrics. No proprietary code, no datasets left the system. The vendor results were from their published deck presented to us in Q1. My results came from approved test artifacts and Ops weekly reports. I sent screenshots and my written analysis, all from inside the firewall. "You also compiled a packet on a personal device," Marla said quickly. "That is outside protocol." I looked him in the eye. "I wrote narrative notes on my personal time," I said. Then I assembled the final packet on my company machine with company files in a read-only space with IT oversight. IT can confirm. They created it. I nodded toward Drew, the IT manager, 2 desks over, who gave a small, weary wave. He'd been in the emails. Laird opened the folder, scanned a sheet, and closed it again. "We'll verify." "You should," I said. "You'll also find this." I handed him a printout, a log of the read-only space creation with his IT's signature, the timestamps, the access controls. I asked for a witness for every step. Marla's cheeks flushed. It climbed in a neat line along her cheekbones. "This is unnecessary theater," she snapped. "We have work to do." "Exactly," I said. "And the board is restored. Ops is running. The transition plan is finished by noon." The attorney studied me like he was checking for cracks. He found none visible. Send me your final handoff and your signed acknowledgement of scope, he said. If everything matches, we're concluded. He and Marla walked away. She didn't look back. She didn't have to. The weight in the air had changed. She could feel it, same as I did. By 10:30, my handoff doc was done. Basic English, step by step, no flourishes. Like a map a tired person could follow at 2 a.m. I sent it to Ops, IT, HR, and Ms. Porter. I printed one copy and placed it on Ria's desk with a sticky note. You've got this. At 11, the message came from Ms. Porter. 2 p.m. all hands in the big conference room. Mandatory for our division. A line beneath it. Ops invited. That word again. Invited. Not asked, not if you can. Invited to the table. I sat back and let myself breathe. The hours in between felt long and light at once. People came by my desk with small words and big eyes. Carlos hovered. You scared? He asked. Yeah, I said. But I'm done being quiet. He nodded like a person who'd been waiting to hear exactly that. At 1:58, we filed in. The room was full. Ops had taken one side as a block. Boots lined under the chairs like an infantry of truth. IT lined the back. The analysts clustered near the projector. HR sat close to the door, as if ready to exit or intervene. Ms. Porter stood at the front. Beside her, the chief operating officer. I had never seen him on our floor. Thank you for coming, Porter said. We'll be brief. She didn't use slides. She used words. Yesterday, she said, a project that supported operations was deleted publicly. Today, after review, we are restoring that project from approved test artifacts. We will formalize standard protections to prevent unilateral deletion of active work. She let the sentence land and settle. We will also evaluate our vendor contracts against in-house performance. Facts will guide us. There was a murmur, soft and electric. She raised a hand and it quieted. 2 more items, she said. She looked at me. First, Emily Parker has resigned, effective at the conclusion of a brief transition. We thank her for her contributions to stabilizing operations this week and wish her well. The room clapped. Not a storm, not performative. A warm, sustained sound that braided relief with respect. I swallowed a lump and inclined my head. Second, Porter continued, we are conducting an internal review of decision-making protocols and conduct surrounding this incident. In the interim, Marla Reynolds is on administrative leave. Silence, then whispers, then silence again, heavier, like dust settling after a wall comes down. I looked at Marla. She was pale. Her jaw moved once, a muscle clenching against a pain you can't show in public. She looked out over the room and did not find a friendly place to land her eyes. For the first time since I met her, I saw not power but shape. A person who had built authority on fear and now learned fear has a boomerang. The COO spoke finally. We are in the business of moving real things in the real world, he said quietly. When we call people's work garbage, we better be right. And when we're wrong, we fix it. He nodded to Ops. Thank you for patience. He nodded to me. Thank you for the clarity. He nodded to the room. Back to work. The meeting ended like a current snapping off. People stood. Some came to touch my arm, to whisper thank you, to say we're sorry, to ask, are you okay? I smiled small and said, I will be. I meant it. As the crowd thinned, Marla approached me. No attorney, no audience, no mask that could hold. For a second, we stood like 2 people at the end of a very long winter. She took in a breath that trembled. You made me look like a monster, she said. The words weren't sharp. They were lost. I looked at her and felt something unexpected, sorrow for the time we had wasted, for the talent she might have nurtured in me and others if she loved the work more than the power. I didn't make you look like anything, I said softly. I held up a mirror. I wish you had liked what you saw. Something flickered in her eyes. Anger, denial, maybe a flash of shame. But she shoved it down and turned away. She walked out, heels quiet now. At my desk, there was a plain cardboard box waiting. Ria stood beside it. I hate this part, she said, a watery smile on her face. The box. We all get one, I said. Some of us get to fill it with our dignity. We packed in slow silence, a plant with tired leaves, a mug from a hackathon, a photo of the night crew at West Dock holding up thumbs like they'd won a small war. When we finished, Rhea hugged me hard. "I'm scared," she whispered. "But I feel brave too." "Keep receipts," I said into her hair. "Don't let anyone make you doubt the math." Carlos and Samir walked me to the elevator like I was leaving a country, not a floor. As the doors slid shut, all three of us laughed. Soft, tired, true. It felt like the sound a night makes just before the dawn breaks. I turned in my badge to HR. Glenn met my eyes and, for the first time, looked like a person and not a department. "We'll do better," he said. "I'm sorry it took this." "It always takes something," I said gently. "Make sure it counts." Outside, the air was cold and honest. I set the box on the curb and let the wind lift a strand of hair out of my face. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Welcome aboard. Want to stop by and see your new team?" I looked back at the building. The windows looked like eyes. For a second, I imagined the rooms inside, the board glowing, ops leaning over it, the hum and bustle that would keep the city's veins flowing. The work would go on. The people would keep it human. That was enough. I texted Rachel back. On my way. I lifted the box and walked, not fast, not slow. A steady pace. Each step felt like a small, reclaiming, mini cliffhanger, closing the arc. On my first day at North Edge, I opened a notebook and wrote the first rule for my new team. We don't call a person's work garbage. We fix the work, or fix the leadership. And then, months later, a familiar name lit up my inbox with a subject line I never expected. Request for a meeting, Marla. When the email came, I stared at it for a long time. The name pulled old feelings from deep places, anger that had cooled into ash, fear that had learned it wasn't the driver anymore. I clicked. Her message was short. She'd landed elsewhere, smaller place, less shine. "I've been reflecting," she wrote. "I made decisions out of fear. I tried to control what I didn't understand. I'd like to apologize. If you'd consider a call, I'd be grateful." I didn't owe her anything. Forgiveness is not a bill you must pay. But closure is a door you sometimes open for yourself, not for the other person. We spoke for 10 minutes. Her voice was careful, stripped of its sugar. She didn't make excuses. She didn't ask me to fix her story. She said, "I was wrong," and let the words sit naked in the air. I told her I hoped her new team would experience her better. I told her to guard the work, not the throne. I hung up and felt something unhook, an old barb lodged in the soft part of me. It didn't erase the past. It didn't rewrite the pain. But it made space. At North Edge, my new team built quieter. We spent nights in warehouses again, listening first, coding second. We wrote rules on the wall in fat marker. Clarity is kindness. No public shaming. The model serves the human, not the other way around. We kept our receipts. We shared our credit. When a junior analyst broke a pipeline, we ordered pizza and fixed it together. No one said garbage. We said, "Let's see." We said, "Show me." We said, "We can make it better." Sometimes, late at night, I still saw the flash of an empty folder on a big screen and felt my chest tighten. Then I remembered the call. Yes, the mirror in the big room. The boots lined up under chairs like a quiet army. The clap that was not thunder but warmth. The weight of a box that was not full of shame. Revenge looked different from what I imagined. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't a dramatic final blow. It was a long, slow turning of the wheel until it clicked back onto the track. It was truth told so simply it couldn't be argued with, only faced. It was leaving a place better than I found it, if not for me, then for the ones still there. When I think of that morning, the delete, the word garbage, the way my throat closed, I also think of a different line. One I said with a voice I barely recognized. "You told me to start over." I did. That was the revenge. Not the pain I could give her. The life I could build anyway. And if you're sitting under someone who loves control more than the work, listen to me. Keep your notes. Keep your calm. Keep your receipts. Then, when the moment comes, choose your yes with both hands. Justice doesn't always look like punishment. Sometimes it looks like a door opening in a room with no air. Walk through it. If this story hit home, if you've ever had your work called garbage, if you've ever watched someone delete your effort with a smile, hit like so this reaches someone who needs it. Tell me your story in the comments. I read them. And subscribe for more true stories where truth, patience, and courage do what revenge alone can't. Your voice matters here.